It all kicks off at your average high school, complete with a massive soccer field. This is where we meet our main character Lee Wooju, a young guy who loves reading books about cats. While he's reading, he hears his classmates playing and thinks about how much he hates this school. That's because he has a weak constitution and a super shy personality. Because of this, he has a really hard time getting along with other people. For our boy, having friends or a romance is something completely out of this world. He just wishes people were as harmless as the animals he loves so much. Suddenly, while he's reading peacefully, a pair of legs appears dangling above him. The person is a mysterious figure with cat ears. In that moment, our young guy gets the shock of his life from the sudden appearance. He then falls backward and sees that the figure was a girl with cat ears and a tail. The girl then glances at the book he's reading and gives a little smile. Without hesitating, she jumps down in front of our MC, who hides his face with the book. Then the young woman leans in close to his face and says that this is strange. Our boy is confused, wondering if this is a dream or just some really good cosplay. Suddenly, he's shoved forward as someone kicks the door in. He gets hurt from the fall, and a different girl finds him, saying, "There you are." The young woman then approaches and asks what he was doing in that place. Our MC tries to explain about the other girl, but she had already vanished. His eyes go wide because he was absolutely sure of what he had seen, but looking around, he realizes the place was completely empty. At this, the girl accuses him of lying and says that liars need to be punished. Moments later, we see they've gone to a classroom. There she sits in a chair and asks the young man how her sock smells. Our boy is on his knees while other students watch the bullying unfold. The girl then stares him down and asks why he has such a pained expression on his face. He turns bright red but ends up saying that the smell was kinda good. Hearing this, the girl cracks a small, satisfied smile at his answer. With that response, everyone starts laughing, finding the situation hilarious. Then she says that since he liked the smell so much, she's going to take the sock off. She then asks if our boy wants the sock, and he's left completely baffled. Seeing his red face, the other students call him a creep and a freak. One of the guys then makes fun of him, saying he looks like a timid little girl. Right after, another background character comments about his wife, a girl named Bake Rabin. The girl is surprised, and our young man tries to explain that they don't live together. With an intense gaze, the girl asks if he really lives with Bayek Rabin. Our protagonist gets super flustered and doesn't know how to answer the question. At that moment, we see another girl with blonde hair sitting alone in the classroom. She seems to be keeping to herself, not caring about the commotion around her. Our boy tries to explain himself, but the girl has already jumped to her own conclusion. Suddenly, the blonde girl gets up from her chair and walks over to them. She calmly walks toward the group that was bullying our young man. Arriving there, she confirms for everyone that yes, the two of them do live together. With a serious look, she asks what business it is of theirs. The other girl named Haiji replies that it's just because she thinks it's funny. The blonde then tells Haiji to mind her own business and leave other people alone. Our guy gets fed up and tells them to stop laughing while they pick on weaker people. She finishes by saying they look pathetic, and Haiji is shocked by her audacity. Without a second thought, the blonde slaps the other girl right across the face. Next, she grabs our young man's hand and tells him it's time to get out of there. Our protagonist agrees, and the two of them run out of the classroom hand in hand. Meanwhile, Haiji and her friends are left standing there in complete disbelief. The scene then cuts to outside the school on a sunny day. Shortly after, we see the two of them entering a dark equipment storage room. Inside, our boy tries to thank Rabin for the help she gave him, but the young woman cuts him off, saying she only did it so he wouldn't make her look like an idiot. He gets all embarrassed by her response and ends up apologizing. The girl then asks why he's so timid, considering they've known each other since they were little. He then reflects that nowadays he's a loser and she's a popular girl. She advises him not to let himself be bullied as a black cat appears in the window. She says that if this keeps happening, it's going to be a hassle for her to deal with. Suddenly, the cat from the window jumps onto her head, making her scream in fright. Our protagonist panics, watching his friend flail around with the animal. Startled, she loses her balance and accidentally kicks a piece of equipment. He falls to the ground in immense pain after being hit by his friend. The young woman then falls on top of him and asks if that was just a cat. At that moment, the necklace she's wearing starts to glow, catching our boy's attention. He then remembers that he was the one who gave her that necklace. In a flashback, we see the young boy giving the accessory to his friend when they were kids. Little Rabin asks if he's sure since his mom was the one who gave him the gift. He smiles and says it's okay because she was as precious to him as his own mother. Back in the present, the girl asks what he was thinking about so intently. Out of nowhere, she throws herself on top of him again, getting really close to his face. This closeness makes our MC turn completely red, leaving him frozen. Meanwhile, the black cat that caused all this is just floating weirdly in the air. The cat then pounces on the girl's chest and she cries out in pain and surprise. With a swift move, the feline snatches the necklace from her neck. Next, the animal climbs onto the windowsill with the necklace in its mouth, ready to escape. It then meows as if it's showing off before leaving for good. The young woman puts a hand to her neck and realizes her precious necklace is gone. Desperate, she yells toward the window that her necklace has been stolen. Our protagonist is confused, and the girl explains that the cat took the necklace. With a sad expression, she wonders what she can do to get it back. Seeing his friend state, our young man's face shows an expression of surprise. But a moment later, that surprise transforms into pure determination. Without a second thought, he leaps through the window, calling the cat a thief. Our boy then plummets from a crazy height in an attempt to catch the feline. The chase continues through another room and he tells the animal to stop right now. With a sad expression, she wonders what she can do to get it back. It turns out that right in front of them, Haiji was standing in the middle of the hallway. The cat ends up crashing into Haiji, who screams in terror from the impact. At that point, our protagonist runs past and bumps into her, apologizing as he goes. Haiji is furious and wonders what got into our young man to do something like that. Without hesitation, the girl takes off one of her shoes, ready to attack the guy. Then she throws the shoe with all her might in our boy's direction. The shoe flies down the hall and smacks our young man right in the back. He's totally confused looking at the object that hit him out of nowhere. Suddenly, the cat snatches the shoe out of midair and meows as if it's mocking them. The girl's eyes go wide, unable to believe what she just saw. Abdal. The feline then jumps through an open window to continue its desperate escape. Our MC tries to catch it, but the animal is faster and gets away through the window. On impulse, he ends up jumping through the same window after the little thief. Rabin watches the whole thing in shock, seeing her friend fall from the school building. While falling, our protagonist sees his friend getting smaller and wonders if this is it for him. He then reflects that there are still so many things he'd like to do in life. In midair, he panics, thinking that his life is really going to end here. Suddenly, the little thief in his arms calls him an idiot and asks what he's doing. The feline explains that being a cat, it will survive, but our young man won't be so lucky. Then the animal says that since he was brave enough to jump, he'll be useful for its plans. With the power of a magical item, the cat announces the start of the tournament of the 12 Zodiacs. The creature then touches the object to our boy's chest and says that everything will begin anew. As the light shines, the feline announces that the judge of the tournament will be chosen right now. With a shout, it declares that it chooses this human and the landscape around them changes. Our protagonist is now falling toward a magic circle with no idea what's happening. The cat then pressures the young man, telling him to just accept the position of judge for the event already. Pressured by the situation and the imminent fall, a glint of determination appears in his eyes. With no other choice, our MC screams that he will be the judge, and the animal approves of his decision. The scene then cuts to a dark place where a mysterious woman wonders what is happening. Out of nowhere, our boy appears in a different location and sees a large figure in front of him. He finds himself before an imposing man in a massive hall who stares at him seriously. The imposing man then asks what our young man truly desires in life. Our boy reflects on the question and wonders about his true wish. He then starts to form an answer, thinking that what he wants is for everyone. Suddenly, everything goes dark and a voice calls out to him, asking if he's awake. As he opens his eyes, he sees a worried woman asking if he's feeling any better. Our protagonist gets a huge scare from the situation and is left speechless. In his fright, he sits up quickly and ends up headbutting the woman, who cries out. With the bump, they both have headaches and she asks how he is. He then sits up in bed and says he heard that he fell from the 4th floor of the building. But when he tries to remember the events, he realizes he can't recall anything. The young woman says it's strange since he has no injuries and that the amnesia must be from the shock. Our MC can only let out a small sound of surprise at the news. She then advises him to go to the hospital as there might be side effects. After thanking her, our boy leaves the room, still a bit confused about everything that happened. Meanwhile, the teacher stands there watching the young man leave with a thoughtful expression. The scene then cuts to late afternoon, showing the neighborhood where our boy lives. Walking home, he thinks that his head is still a bit fuzzy from everything. Arriving at his apartment, he decides he'll just take a shower and go to sleep. But when he opens his bedroom door, he's startled to see a cat lying on his bed. He recognizes the animal as the thief from before, but the feline says the necklace was its to begin with. Our protagonist is completely lost at the small animal's strange claim. The young man then screams in shock upon realizing that the cat in front of him was talking. He thinks the nurse was right and that this was a side effect of the fall. At that, the creature stretches and reminds him that he's a judge now and shouldn't disappoint it. Our MC is paralyzed with fear and wonders what being a judge even means. The feline then gets annoyed and with a terrifying face asks if he's going to keep playing dumb. Out of patience, the animal says it will make him remember by force and pounces toward him. Outside, we see Rabin climbing the stairs toward their apartment. She looks up worriedly, wondering if our boy had gotten home yet. Suddenly, the blonde girl is startled by a desperate scream coming from the apartment. Hearing the noise, the blonde girl calls out for her friend and runs up the stairs. Worried, she runs as fast as she can to see what was happening. Reaching the door, she stops for a moment, not knowing what to do next. Without hesitation, the young woman announces she's coming in and throws the door open. With a quick step, she bursts into the apartment to see if her friend is okay. She then looks into the bedroom and asks what's going on in there. The young woman is shocked to see our MC with a girl who has cat ears, but with her eyes wide, she can't believe the scene she's witnessing. Our protagonist is also frozen in surprise by the girl's appearance. The cat girl then looks at his friend and lets out a very cute meow. Suddenly, a massive scream echoes throughout the entire building, startling the neighbors. It turns out the scream was from the blonde girl, who had completely freaked out over the situation. Our boy also screams in panic, not knowing how to react to any of this. The cat girl gives a smile and asks if he finally remembers everything now. His friend runs out screaming that there's an undressed woman in Wooju's room. With his friend gone, our young man can finally breathe a small sigh of relief. He turns to the girl and asks who she is, and the young woman explains what happened. The girl then introduces herself as Nina and says they should get along from now on. Our protagonist is completely lost in the situation, not understanding what she wants. Outside, the blonde girl continues to scream desperately, calling for her mom. The noise startles our boy, and he doesn't know what to do to calm his friend down. The young woman then returns to the room and accuses him of bringing a woman into the apartment. With no way to defend himself, our MC just sits on the floor completely stunned. Just then, the girl's mother appears and asks what's going on, then greets the young man. The blonde girl's jaw drops as she didn't expect her mom to show up right now. The lady then calls her daughter for dinner and invites our boy to join them, but the princess apologizes and says she doesn't drink. He says it's just red wine. However, she stands firm and says she doesn't drink even if it's red wine, because she cannot drink alcohol, not even a drop. Seeing her mom leave, the young woman runs after her, asking her to wait a bit. Alone again with the cat girl, our protagonist feels a shiver down his spine. The young woman then gets close to him and meows seductively, making our MC blush. Suddenly, the blonde girl appears at the door again, remembering something important she forgot. Our MC quickly throws his arms out to hide the cat girl from his friend. The girl then hugs him from behind, and the blonde decides to just let it go and leaves. Totally embarrassed, our young man asks the girl to turn back into a cat for now. He then grabs a cushion and places it on the floor, asking the young woman to sit there. The girl obeys and transforms back into a cat, but with a very grumpy look on her face. Seeing the small animal lying on the cushion, our boy doesn't know what to think. He sits on the bed and wonders what's happening, and the cat says that something went wrong. Lying down and sleepy, our young man asks if the tournament is the one from the old folktale. The feline confirms that it's the same competition returning after 3,000 years. Our protagonist is getting very sleepy and questions the 3,000 years he just heard about. The cat then explains that it had no choice, which is why it had to pick him today. The small creature finishes by saying that's why it's counting on the judge's help. Already asleep, our boy just mumbles that none of this makes any sense. The scene cuts to an ancient memory of a man with long hair under a tree. He pets one of the small animals and says, with a sad voice, that he has to leave. Then the man says that the spots by his side will be decided by a competition. Back in the present, our boy mumbles the word cat in his deep sleep. Suddenly, he jolts awake, completely startled by the strange dream he had. He looks around the room, sees that the cat is gone, and wonders if it was all a dream. With a sigh of relief, our young man realizes that at least he isn't late for class. But a moment later, he remembers the bullying he suffered at school the day before. The image of Haiji humiliating him in front of everyone comes rushing back to his mind. With these thoughts, he realizes he has absolutely no desire to go to school today. Even so, our MC lets out a sigh and gets out of bed to start the day. With zero enthusiasm, our young man starts getting ready to face another day of school. Back in the memory, the small cat looks completely shocked by the man's words. The man then asks if any of those children want to leave with him. Hearing this, all the animals run toward him, hoping to be chosen. But the man steps back and says that unfortunately not all of them can sit by his side. He then reveals that there are exactly 12 spots and that these seats will be fought for. As he gets ready, he sees the reflection of the cat floating outside his window. Already in his school uniform, our boy continues to wear a very downcast expression. Outside, the feline leaps gracefully onto the neighboring balcony railing. With a soft glow, its paw begins to transform into a delicate human foot. Then the rest of its leg materializes, revealing her human form once again. Now transformed, the cat girl looks into the other apartment through the window. The young woman then enters our MC's friend's room and looks around curiously. Without any ceremony, the girl goes to the wardrobe to grab some clothes. While choosing what to wear, she smiles, seeing the photos of the blonde girl with her friends. Back at school, our protagonist lays his head on the desk, relieved that Haiji didn't show up today. But he overhears other students commenting that Rabin was also absent because of the commotion. Hearing this, our young man gets a furious look on his face, feeling guilty for her absence. He then remembers the moment his friend defended him from the girl who was bullying him. In his memory, he relives the scene where the blonde girl pulled him away from the conflict. At that moment, the guys say they feel sorry for her for hanging out with a loser, and he's shocked. With these comments, our protagonist gets furious and runs out of the classroom, leaving his classmates behind. He leaves the school without a second thought. Outside, he wonders if his friend really skipped class because of him. Just then, the bell rings, announcing the end of another school day for everyone. Our young man then runs through the city streets to try and find the girl. Arriving at his friend's apartment, he knocks on the door a little nervous and worried. Her mother answers and says the young woman went to school, which leaves our boy confused. He then tries calling the blonde girl, but she doesn't answer, which gives him a bad feeling. With this worry, he runs back to his own apartment to look for her. Out of breath, he kneels on the ground and realizes he hasn't found her anywhere. Tired, he leans against the wall as a mysterious figure begins to approach. The woman was the cat girl, now wearing normal clothes and casually eating a popsicle. Our protagonist recognizes her immediately and asks, in shock, what she was doing there. He questions her appearance, and the young woman says she already explained everything yesterday. Nina says she hid her ears, but our MC points out that her tail is still showing. But he says they need to find Rabin as soon as possible. The young woman then remembers the blonde girl and asks if it had already started. Our boy is confused and grabs her, asking what had started. With a sinister smile, the young woman shows her fangs to our MC. She then reveals that the descent of the 12 Zodiacs has finally begun. Suddenly, a massive pillar of light appears in the middle of the city, startling the boy. With wide eyes, he wonders what that strange thing in the sky is. Without hesitation, the girl pulls him by the hand and says they need to go there. As they run, she tells the young man to listen carefully because the ritual has started. The young woman explains that 12 gods are descending to the world for the tournament, and it seems that one of them has already descended and is inside our protagonist's friend. Our young man is shocked and asks what's going to happen, but she says it's a long story. She then explains that his first mission as judge is to get the gods to enter the game. He then asks what will happen if he can't do that in time. With a serious look, Nina reveals that the girl will be devoured by the god inside her. Hearing this, our boy is completely terrified by the young woman's revelation. With a shout, the girl tells him to hurry up and get his friend before it's too late. Without wasting any time, the two of them run towards the pillar of light that appeared in the city. Arriving there, he sees a notice on the door of a school equipment shed. He then enters the place, calling for his friend to see if she's around. With a worried expression, our young man peers into the dark storage shed. Just then, he finds her huddled in a dark corner, looking very scared. Our boy tries to get closer, but his friend tells him not to come any nearer. Confused, he wonders what's wrong with her and why she's acting like this. Suddenly, the young woman screams with all her might for him not to approach her. With a quick movement, the girl shoves him aside and runs out of the shed. He's shocked by her speed, and Nina warns him that they need to chase her. Nina explains that she hasn't been fully possessed yet, and our young man becomes determined to catch her. The chase continues to the school rooftop, where the young woman faces them from a distance. He tries to convince her to enter the tournament, saying her body will go back to normal. Our young man looks at his friend with a serious and determined gaze, ready for the situation. Without warning, the young woman throws herself from the top of the school building, leaving them both in shock. Our protagonist screams in despair, watching his friend plummet from the rooftop. With one glowing eye, the girl reveals that the first opponent is the fourth of the 12. At that, her hair transforms into bunny ears, and she reveals herself as the rabbit. Our boy is completely lost and wonders what the heck is going on. The young woman now floats in the air with her new giant bunny ears. Next, she lets out a high-pitched scream as she continues her descent from the building. Desperate, our protagonist screams his friend's name, not knowing what to do. The girl then lands safely on the ground with a glowing aura around her. Our MC is speechless and calls her name again, still in shock. From the top of the building, our boy watches his friend, who now seems like a different person. With a look of pure determination, he prepares to go after her. Nina then complains that of all things she had to be possessed by the rabbit. Our young man grabs her terrified, saying that Ruben just fell from the building. The cat girl tells him to stop whining and says there's no time to just stand around. Shocked, our boy yells that a person just plummeted right in front of them. Impatient, the girl yells that at this rate they're going to lose sight of her. Then without a second thought, the young woman grabs him and leaps off the building with him. As they plummet, the cat girl lets out a wicked laugh and our young man screams in terror.